The story of Crazy Joe was torn from yesterday's headlines, and it's as terrifying as tomorrow's.
Good morning. Welcome back to Crazy Joe's Concession Stand. I'm Crazy Joe. Today, I want to talk to you about a movie that opened in theaters a couple of weeks ago. It's been on a stagnated rollout, so it may already be playing in a theater near you. And if it is not, check this Thursday, because this Thursday, which is the 10th, October 10th, it's going to go wide. So if it's not playing in a theater near you yet, it will be coming this Thursday. And that is the movie Saturday Night by Jason Reitman. Jason Reitman, who gave us Juno, Thank You for Smoking, and Ghostbusters Afterlife. He's given us a movie here, which is about the roughly 90 minutes prior to the initial episode of Saturday Night Live going live in 1975. This is a very well done movie. I'm giving this a big recommendation. And the premise is, it's Saturday night. I believe it was the 10th. I believe, or the 11th. It's almost to the day. But 50 years ago in 1975, almost to the day, Saturday Night Live was about to go live at 11:30 p.m. for the first time ever. And it was not going smoothly. There was a lot of questions on, will the show even make it to air? NBC was ready to go with a rerun of The Tonight Show. So right up until the second they went on air, they were not sure if they were going to make it to air. They thought that NBC might bump for a Tonight Show rerun. And this is about that very, very tumultuous 90 minutes of trying to right before showtime of the first episode. And that's it. I've heard people say all these shows about season 1 of Saturday Night Live. I've heard people say it's about how Saturday Night Live came to be. That's not actually true. It's really very, very, very segmented to that 90 minutes of, will this show make it to air or won't it? And Jason Reitman does an amazing job capturing the insanity of what was going on in Studio 8H that night, trying to make the show happen. I'm sure a lot of dramatic liberties were taken, because I've read about the creation of Saturday Night Live. I've read books on the subject, and there are things that I think are in there just for dramatic effects. Like, we'll see them working on some iconic skits behind the scenes, and you think to yourself, was that skit in the first episode? And it's like, no, that skit was not in the first episode. They're just trying to create a bit of flavor by showing some of these classic skits that have become legendary happening in the background. One of the wonderful things about the film is the cast, and I'm going to take a moment and talk about that, because there's a little bit of irony about the fact that we're talking about Saturday Night being a movie about Saturday Night Live. Because I find that whenever you have an actor playing a celebrity in a movie, you run the risk of it coming off like a Saturday Night Live skit. Like when they made the movie about George W. Bush called W. It starred Josh Brolin. Every time I saw a trailer for that, I felt like I was watching Saturday Night Live bit about George W. Bush. Like, it didn't feel like I was watching someone playing Bush. It felt like I was watching a bit somebody was doing. And you always run the risk of that when you have actors playing real people. So here you had to cast some of the most iconic comedy legends of our time. Chevy Chase, Dan Aykroyd, Gilda Radner, Jane Curtin, Lorraine Newman, Garrett Morris, John Belushi, not to mention some people who are, went on to become pretty famous years later, like, Al Franken. Al Franken was not one of the more well-known people on Saturday Night Live back in the 70s. I mean, coming out of the 70s, it's not like Al Franken was a household name. But in the years since, he's certainly become one. I mean, he was a U.S. senator, for God's sakes. So you got to cast an Al Franken. You've got to cast Jim Henson. Jim Henson was in the cast of Saturday Night Live that first season. You've got to cast Andy Kaufman and Billy Crystal, who, unbeknownst to me, was there for that first episode backstage. And we have an actor playing Billy Crystal, too, who would later on go on to become a cast member of Saturday Night Live in season 10. So all of these actors are really well cast to the point where it doesn't feel like you're watching somebody doing an impression of a celebrity. They feel genuine. The guy playing Chevy Chase, whose name escapes me, he was really good. I was shocked to find during the end credits that Gilda Radner was played by Ella Hunt. Ella Hunt was the star of a wonderful Christmas musical that I recommend every year called Anna and the Apocalypse. British actress, she gives a dynamite performance in Anna and the Apocalypse, and I love that movie. I watch that movie every Christmas, and I have watched that movie every Christmas for like the last 5 or 6 years, and I did not recognize her as Gilda Radner. It wasn't until the end credits that I said, "Oh my Lord, that was Ella Hunt playing Gilda Radner." I had no idea. She gets transformed in this movie into Gilda Radner. I mean, she's not the spitting image of Gilda Radner. And that's the beauty of it. There's enough separation where these actors can bring their own thing to the role. Sometimes it's distracting if they look too much like the actor. You're watching somebody play a performance, and sometimes if they look too much, it can be a little distracting too, because you're sitting there going, "My God, it looks just like him." The trick is to get that essence, get the essence so that you can, within the first 5 minutes or so, just accept that this is who you're watching and move on. This movie does that well. It's not shot in real time. There are time cuts. It's not like one continuous shot like Rope, which for the 90 minutes prior to Saturday Night Live going on the air, they could have taken that approach. They did not, though. I really like this movie. If I have one criticism, and it's funny because Degrassi Knowles actually, I think, predicted that I would have this criticism. He and I were talking about the movie. And my one criticism would be that I think they could have done a better job with Jim Henson. Nicholas Braun, who I'm not familiar with. I understand he was on Succession. I've never seen Succession. But Nicholas Braun plays 2 roles in the movie. He plays a dual role. He plays both Jim Henson and Andy Kaufman. And they're very distinct. Henson's got the beard. Andy Kaufman's clean shaven. The hair is different. The clothes are different. So if you do not know walking in that it's the same actor playing both parts, you probably won't even pick up on the fact that the same guy's playing 2 parts, because they're played very distinctly. And his portrayal of Kaufman is fine. But the movie kind of plays Henson like he doesn't know what's going on. Like Jim Henson was not a dim-witted guy. And they kind of have him just kind of wandering around, like saying things that are very, very mild. Like he's not going to he's not dropping F-bombs or anything. And he'll be using very, very, very mild language. And they'll be like, "Ooh, listen to that profanity coming out of you." It's like, that's not who Henson was. That's not the kind of guy Henson was. He wasn't super naive. He wasn't like, it kind of plays him like, well, he's a weirdo. He's the puppet guy, so he's weird. That's kind of how the film plays him. That's not Jim Henson at all. So I feel that the one area where this film really dropped the ball is their characterization of Jim Henson. And if you're a Muppet fan and you know anything about Jim Henson and what Jim Henson would really like off stage, this really falls flat, because it feels like, well, this was written by people who don't actually know what Jim Henson was really like. So I don't know. I didn't like the Henson performance, but other than that, this is a really good movie, and I would definitely recommend it. Opens wide this Thursday. I say check it out. This is probably one of the year's best films. So Saturday night Opening in theaters. It's playing in some theaters already, but playing everywhere this Thursday. All right, everyone. Thanks for watching. And if you like what you see, please give us a like, give us a subscribe, tell a friend about us. Let's help grow the channel. I'd appreciate that. And check out my other channel, Krazy Joe Adventures. Very different kind of videos, very different kind of content, but I'd love you to go check that channel out as well. All right, everyone, keep wearing those pajamas.
Keep wearing those pajamas
with the plastic feet.
Keep wearing those pajamas.
Tell everyone you meet.
Keep wearing those pajamas
with the back door flap.
Keep wearing those pajamas.
Don't open it, it's a trap. Oh no, it's a trap. Some people call them PJs, some people call them jammies. They can come embroidered with big money and no whammies. They can have 100 tiny commander pajamas, but no matter how they look, just keep on wearing those pajamas.
Keep on wearing those pajamas. Keep wearing those pajamas.
And now we're having fun.
Keep wearing those pajamas.
And now the song is done.